Hi, everyone. It's Brooke and Laura here for Lawyering Outside the Lines this Tuesday. And we are going to continue our month-long discussion about diversity and inclusion today by focusing the spotlight on our LGBTQ plus colleagues, clients, and community. Some of you may not know, one of the points we're going to talk about today is educating yourself. Some of you may not know that we have had a National LGBT Bar Association that's been in existence for over 30 years, and they've been affiliated with the American Bar Association for over 25 of those years. And their mission is to promote justice in and through the legal profession for the LGBTQ plus community in all of its different diversity within that actual community itself. So today we're going to talk about some facts, statistics, and solutions about, diversity and inclusion for our LGBTQ plus colleagues.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah, and so like Laura said, a big part or a big reason, I guess, that we are spending so much time on diversity and inclusion this month, one, it's extremely important, but also, we're wanting to educate, and part of that is the statistics. And so just a few statistics, almost didn't say it, but I made it all the way through. A few statistics to kind of put it into perspective. The National Association for Law Placement's most recent report on diversity in U.S. law firms showed that the overall percentage of self-identifying LGBT attorneys had increased year over year from 2.64% to 2.86%. And in firms of more than 250 lawyers, the percentage of LGBT associates were above 5% for the first time. And LGBT summer associates was up from 4.6% to 5.73%. So we choose to be hopeful that it is becoming more acceptable to professionally identify as LGBT in the legal community. But as you can see by the self-reported numbers, we still have a lot of work to do. So as for diversity, I can't talk today. As for diversity and sensitivity trainings, there aren't many statistics within the legal profession specifically, but in the business world more generally, a study by the Human Rights Campaign showed that only 52% of Fortune 500 companies conduct sexual orientation diversity training, and only 42% on gender identity or expression. So we can do better. So how can we help? What can we do? We can be advocates and allies in our profession. So just to kind of break that down a little bit more specifically, we hear those terms tossed around, but what exactly does that mean? So what is an advocate? An advocate in social justice is someone who works for legal and societal change to improve justice and equality for a marginalized group of people. So being an advocate can mean fighting for legislation and promoting causes for change. And then what is an ally? So for those of you who don't identify as part of these marginalized groups, an ally is often defined as a person who uses their privilege to advocate on behalf of someone else who doesn't hold that privilege and performs action to further equality. So if you're a cisgender heterosexual person who works within the LGBT community for equality growth, you are an ally. And the same can also be said for a cisgender lesbian working for transgender rights. So that's an ally. So please don't get hung up on the title that you call yourself or whatever. Be part of the solution and don't continue to perpetuate some of these problems that we see.
Yeah, and again, there are going to be terms that are thrown around sometimes that you may not be familiar with, and there's nothing wrong with asking. Don't be a jerk about asking, but, be polite, say, hey, I don't know what this means, but also Google is one of your best friends too. So if you don't know what cisgender means, Google it and you'll find out that it is a person whose mental and emotional identity of their gender matches the sex that they were born with. So that's something that if you didn't know, a little education for today. So how can we actually affect change? So first, we're going to talk about how you can work within your legal community, within the legal profession itself. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is don't be silent. Some of these things work along all kind of spectrums of disenfranchised or marginalized people, but the biggest one to me is don't be silent because silence is complicity. we as privileged people, and I say we, knowing that I'm white and cisgender, heterosexual, all that stuff, which is probably way too many identifying markers about myself, pursuit, but silence is deadly. It really is. And we have to use our voices, whether, whatever part of, whatever group you're a part of, we have to use our voices in order to call things out. And that's number 2, is call out language that's said around you or to you that is insensitive, discriminatory, just bad, just in general bad form. So, we have all these jokes and sayings and things that are really, entrenched in somehow marginalizing and keeping a type of person down to make ourselves feel better. You may not even know that's what you're doing. And so again, don't necessarily be a jerk about it unless they're being a jerk about what they're saying. But it's all about education. And if that person is not open to being educated and you're in the workplace environment, you can always report them. Go to HR. I say that, lightly, like it's easy. And I know that some people might have difficult situations with that, but the best that you can, don't be silent, call out language that's inappropriate, that's discriminatory, that is just bad form in general. Another thing you can do is involve your LGBT colleagues in the discussions of change. How do we change? Whether that's with the judiciary, talking to, judges and trying to advocate for judges to get sensitivity trainings for LGBT issues, that's very important. And I know here in Arkansas, it's a little bit difficult to get judges trained on things like sexual violence and that kind of thing. But, whether it's in your law firm, if you work for a larger law firm, if you work for a medium-sized law firm, if there are 2 of you or 1 of you in your law firm, educate yourself and ask your colleagues that might be LGBT, hey, what should I do in my own practice to help, move this forward? And networking groups. So that's a big one, networking groups. A lot of us are in different networking groups, whether it's online or in person, and make sure that your LGBT colleagues are represented in those kinds of groups, because if they don't have a voice and you don't understand what their voice is, then, it's kind of difficult to make that change from within. Another one is to encourage LGBT sensitivity training in your professional environments, whether that is a law firm, whether that's your government agency, if you're an academic attorney, if you're an attorney who works in a law school, encourage those types of sensitivity trainings, because if you're not aware that you're doing something or there's something that you could do, then really learning. I mean, we're all used to going to school for 150 years. So it's all about learning and educating yourself. And there are a lot of national organizations that can help with strategies on how to do this. Again, internet is your best friend, and just do some internet searching on, different kinds of guides and strategies that you can use in order to get that sensitivity training within your environment.
Right, and kind of along with that, Laura's mentioned it several times, but you want to educate yourself to also work with LGBT clients. So LGBT clients, they're asking for representation from attorneys who understand or can sympathize with unique perspectives on a lot of really common legal issues. So, are you a family lawyer, a criminal attorney, do you do estate planning? The biggest opportunities may actually lie in these practice areas to train yourself to work with LGBT clients. So you've heard us and others say it several times. We are a profession that tends to stay stuck in tradition and precedent, and it's really time to move forward toward a better future for all. And for us, we preach on technology, but that's not all we're about. There are a lot of other really important societal issues, and so when we're talking about moving toward a better future for all, we are talking holistically about not only a futuristic model in a firm, but also equality and education. So some examples of situations that have these opportunities, some practice areas in common legal issues: marriage, divorce, adoption, healthcare, rape, murder, assault, jail and prison facilities, wills and trust, and powers of attorneys. So, attend some CLE or seminars on LGBT issues. There are a lot of webinars out there right now. So even if there's nothing in person, nothing in your area, you can even think about lobbying for them with professional organizations, or kind of, seek those opportunities out to educate yourself so that way you can better serve all of your clients and serve them equally.
Exactly. And we really appreciate you guys listening to us, not just today, but this month, talking about things that we are very passionate about. And I'm very proud to say that I'm a part of the local LGBT plus bar association here in Arkansas. It's called Q Law Arkansas, that was founded in 2018. And our mission is to serve our colleagues in promoting sensitivity and unique perspective training, and also understanding for our legal community for the benefit of LGBT plus legal professionals and the community who are seeking compassionate representation. And one of the ways we do that is we provide CLEs and things of that nature, but we also do free name and gender marker change clinics around the state, so that people who are trying to get their name changed to from their given name to their new name is a dead name and live name, then we can, and gender marker changes, then we can provide that service for free. So that's a big service that we provide. And we really encourage you to educate yourself and explore opportunities to be an ally within your own community. Because if we don't do something, if we're not the ones who advocate and work towards change, then it's not going to happen. So again, silence is complicity, and inaction is complicity as well, as far as we're concerned. So thank you for listening to us today, and we hope you have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you here next Tuesday for more diversity and inclusion talk at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central, 11 Mountain, and 12 Pacific. Thanks so much.